The first one is why don't we go to a higher order thinking? This is the Bloom taxonomy. It starts from like the lower order at the bottom of the pyramid that goes up to the highest one, which is creating. But you need to pass through all of those, in order to go up the ladder. So the remembering one wins the most basic one, which nowadays we consider as like to some extent pretty useless because we have access to information very, very easy. And at the top is like creating, which is still we are kind of doing that. And many people say like, well, we need to accelerate that and go up the ladder, climb the pyramid and get this faster to the creating part. So how do you do that? Well, the answer is let's use artificial intelligence. That's why many people are focusing on doing large language models for education, which is amazing because it can do tutoring, it can explain a lot of things for you. The biggest question that I have now is, okay, if I have an artificial intelligence do that, it's actually teaching me to do those skills, why would I hire somebody who has been told by artificial intelligence, but not hiring the AI itself, which is much faster and cheaper? To me, it sounds a little bit like, I don't know, having probably a steam engine powered treadmill in the first industrial revolutions that can teach me to run faster so that it can outpace the train, which seems a little bit like a dead end to me. The other approach is, and I find it pretty interesting, is that we focus on skills that the AI still cannot do, or it won't be able to do, hopefully, in the next few years and decades. One is like critical thinking, system thinking, creative thinking. There are many others, by the way. This is just a summary of many sources. For example, World Economic Forum, the Oxford University, and I believe it has some merit. I don't know for how long those skills will stay and will be relevant, but I think they sound obvious, and I won't go as far as to argue with the experts who have worked on those and such kind of research. So if we take it from there, now the biggest question is, okay, how we work actually to build those skills, especially for young people. Let's take creative thinking. Where is the creative thinking in education when we normally have a certain path that young people need to follow, students need to follow? They start from one unit, go to the next unit, and then the next, and forward. So there is nothing like that you go out of this path that has been created for you. And this is even further exacerbated with artificial intelligence and machine learning tools for adaptive learning, which are basically creating path that is perfectly tailored to you and to you as a personality and knowledge and everything. So there's actually no way out of it. And the thing about creative thinking is that it happens when you have a certain level of uncertainty. And we're actually working in the reverse kind of approach that blocks any way of having uncertainty. So yeah, the challenge now is like, how do we improve that approach? I have to be completely honest with you, I don't have the concrete answer, but trust me, I'm working on it every single day. I have been very lucky to have had the chance to work for the United Nations in the last 15 years and have worked with a lot of young people from all over the world. We have co-created a lot of educational games with them. We have had accelerator programs, hackathons and everything. And I mean, needless to say, all of them just love, creating and playing. And one of the magic happens when you actually bring uncertainty, when you have this kind of project that they need to build from 0 to 100, and they don't know what's going to happen afterwards. So that's 2 years ago. I started working on Visipedia. So we created AI-supported tools for creating educational games. And they worked like a charm because we would give them to teachers and educators, and they will be able in a few hours to build an educational game. And game-based learning is actually pretty useful when you want to improve the way you're teaching the current curriculum because of several reasons. One is that it involves multiple semiotic modes. First of all, verbal, written, visual, gestural, and it's actually bringing different ways of you to access information. The other one is the sensory motor experience, so it's combining sensory perception with motor activities, which is also accelerating the knowledge acquisition part. And last but not least, it's triggering also mnemonic recollection. This is where you have new concepts being connected with past experiences. So we had those tools, a lot of kids use them to play, educators use them to create games, everything looks amazing, but there was something that we were overlooking, and that's the power of people to create stuff. So we, by a chance, we discovered that actually kids, they want to be part of the world of the adults, they would love to explore things, they would love to create things. This is why we actually gave them the tools that the educators were using for themselves to create games. This is why we employed the so-called project-based learning, which there should be a video. Yeah, this is one of the tools that they're using, that we have created for them to develop games. And it works really nice, not only because they're engaged in the whole process, but it's also when they're using the AI tools, it develop different type of things like critical thinking, because the AI generates stuff that they're supposed to check, to view the source of it and make sure that it's correct. On the other hand, they're actually way more engaged in the whole process, and they're also getting more and more creative. This is the so-called, as I said, project-based learning where used through game creation. It turned out that there is also a science-backed thing. Sorry, there is something. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we actually put creating at the bottom of the pyramid, so it's the fundament. It's type of creating that happens, in fact, in a sandbox environment, so in a virtual environment that you're not supposed to break anything in the real world. And as I said, this is a thing that's backed by science. There are several studies done in the last 2 years on how creative kind of activities are boosting a lot the knowledge acquisition and the education for young people. There is a study from Chile from 2023 where they involved people from the creative industries, like many of you here, to do workshops within like 2 and 3 months. And after those 2-3 months, not only their GPS is from 1 to 4, increased by 0.33 in arts, but it also increased by astonishing numbers like 0.36 and 0.61 in maths and languages. There is also another study which took place in Indonesia, where 100% of the teachers, there were hundreds of teachers who participated in that. They also included creative activities in classroom. And the conclusions were they all believe that increased the enthusiasm of kids in the learning process, and 2/3 of them believe that they strongly believe in that it increased the enthusiasm of kids in the learning process. So basically it's said, apart from building creative thinking in young people, such kind of methodologies are also very good in increasing their cognitive skills that are part of the standards and the classical curriculum. But apart from that, it's also a very strong tool in something that the AI won't catch up with us anytime soon, which is social-emotional part of it, where actually the creative industries is the one that require most of the emotional intelligence. I believe so, I hope you believe too. My message to you is, I believe that education at the moment, and many people are saying that we have to rethink it completely. Some they say that in 10 years might actually not need it. I remember just yesterday, Bill Gates saying that in 10 years we will no longer have doctors, teachers, or any kind of white-collar professions, because everything will be replaced by artificial intelligence. I believe let's give it a chance with creative industries, and if you get the chance to go to a school that has nothing to do with what you do, let's say a technical school, and you're a filmmaker, just go show them how to make a movie. And they will be actually more creative, more empowered to in their learning process. And I think we owe it to the kids. And even if you don't believe in this very ideological thing, just bear in mind the fact that the educational sector is not that saturated,